The standard cultural script for self-care focuses on consumption, bath bombs, scented candles, and weekend retreats. These are reactive, band-aid solutions that ultimately fail to address the metabolic depletion of a modern professional workload. Treating human cognition as an unlimited fuel source results in massive macroeconomic fallout. Gallup estimates that global productivity lost to employee disengagement now costs the world economy $10 trillion. Microsoft data reveals the infinite workday. Workflows violate human biology, with email triage starting at 6 a.m. and tasks bleeding deep into the night. Focus is relentlessly fractured, with workers facing 275 daily interruptions, one every 2 minutes. This fragmentation is driven by a staggering volume, 117 emails and 153 messages daily. Furthermore, meeting schedules index heavily between 9 and 11 a.m. and 1 to 3 p.m. These blocks directly conflict with the brain's biological peak windows for deep, focused work. This conflict forces high-value work into a second shift. Meetings after 8 p.m. have risen 16% year over year as employees struggle to find uninterrupted time. Organizations often misinterpret this decline in output. Leaders observe exhausted teams and assume an individual underperformance issue, ignoring the structural system failure. Adding wellness perks to a broken workflow fails to address the architectural problem. Surface-level solutions cannot fix a system designed to exceed human capacity. For knowledge workers, self-care is the operational discipline required to maintain the metabolic and cognitive resources upon which a career depends. The brain functions as a metabolic engine that physically depletes its resources and requires cyclic recovery. It is not a continuous computer processor. Human biology is designed to oscillate between high arousal and recovery approximately every 90 minutes. These ultradian rhythms dictate our capacity for sustained focus. At the trough of an ultradian cycle, the body sends physiological signals of fatigue, drifting attention, restlessness, and increased hunger. Pushing through these signals with caffeine or willpower creates a state of stress without recovery. Over time, this jagged physiological pattern leads directly to burnout. Productivity research from Stanford University provides mathematical proof that violating these biological limits destroys total output. This chart plots hours worked against hourly output. Production declines sharply after 50 hours and falls off a cliff at 55. Because of this efficiency decline, an employee working 70 hours produces the identical total output of one working 55. Crossing the 55-hour threshold carries a severe physiological toll. Global health data links these hours to roughly 745,000 annual deaths from heart disease and stroke. Extending workflows into biological recovery zones creates a false impression of productivity while actively degrading the brain's underlying hardware. Foundational biological interventions function as metabolic prerequisites for cognitive output. Sleep and movement are not lifestyle choices. They are the fuel for professional performance. The prefrontal cortex is unusually sensitive to sleep loss. Even partial deprivation of 5 to 6 hours creates significant impairment. This sleep loss severs the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. The cognitive impairment equals a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08%. This weakened connectivity increases amygdala reactivity by 60%, causing emotional dysregulation, impulsivity, and poor executive decision-making. Movement provides a similar structural benefit. Exercise should be reframed away from physical aesthetics and toward cognitive maintenance. Aerobic exercise triggers the release of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This protein strengthens existing synapses and promotes the growth of new neurons. Triggering a massive release of BDNF requires a specific metabolic threshold, approximately 30 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise. Sacrificing sleep or movement to gain more working hours sabotages the executive function and neuroplasticity required to perform that work effectively. Individual biology is only half the equation. The World Health Organization classifies burnout as an occupational phenomenon from chronic workplace stress that hasn't been managed. Burnout exists as a relationship mismatch between the worker and the workplace. In this system, one specific role holds outsized influence. research indicates that therapists impact an individual's mental health at a level of 41%. However, direct managers impact employee mental health at 69%. This is the exact same level of influence as a spouse or partner. Despite this massive influence, only 44% of managers have received any formal training on managing team well-being. This hexagonal diagnostic wheel identifies the 6 mismatches that drive burnout: control, reward, community, fairness, values, and workload. The workload mismatch is the primary driver of systemic exhaustion. It occurs when organizational demands consistently exceed the human resources available to meet them. Resolving these mismatches requires a team environment built on psychological safety. Psychological safety enables interpersonal risk-taking, distinct from mere comfort or being nice. It provides the structural ability to report errors or push back on impossible deadlines without fear of retaliation. Individual self-care protocols will eventually fail if they are deployed inside a psychologically unsafe and poorly managed system. Optimizing human energy architecture functions as a profound economic lever. McKinsey estimates that investing in holistic employee health could unlock nearly $12 trillion in global economic value. Universal workplace well-being programs yield a massive return on investment. For every £1 invested, organizations see an average return of £6.30. The optimized professional week synthesizes physiological maintenance and structural boundaries. Populate biological non-negotiables first: a 7-hour sleep anchor and protected movement sessions. Next, insert structural boundaries. Use 90-minute deep work blocks during morning peaks and implement a hard shutdown protocol to signal the workday's end. This schedule replaces the hero mindset of sacrifice with an athlete mindset that treats rigorous recovery as a performance enhancer. High-performance culture is often fueled by the delusion that burnout is the required price of success. Professional self-care is the rigorous engineering of habits and environments to respect biological design, ensuring ambition remains sustainable for a lifetime.